My name is Nalin Vinayak and I'm a Vermilion artist from India. I just launched my album called Fire and I am super psyched to be doing this interview. What is your background in music? I started playing guitar, I think 12 years ago. Actually, exactly 12 years ago on my 11th birthday. I'm about to turn 23. And like over the course of I think 7 to 8 years, I acquired a diploma in guitar and then decided to change gears and turn to music composition. I think I composed my first song when I was 18 years old. I had just come out of school and I wrote my first song. I went on to do a couple of films, and after that, I started working on my album, and now it's 2020, and I just launched my first album called Fire on the 29th of March. Who or what inspired you to get into music? The best way for me to answer this would be that I think music is a lot about what you are listening to at a particular point in time, and I feel like with every new musical obsession, let's just put it that way, that I have, I kind of acquire a new direction in music, and that's the lovely part. So I feel like my growth as a musician has been the ability to appreciate a variety of genres over the years that has allowed me to kind of find my space in several of them. How do you plan your how do you plan on continuing your journey as an artist? Um, well, right now after the album's release, I was looking forward to a lot of live shows, and I think I'll give myself a year or two before I launch another album. In the meantime, I would love to do a couple of more films or plays or whatever really comes my way. And I just like to find a new sound before I can start working on newer music. How has being a songwriter and a musician changed over the years and having music become your occupation? Um, I think when you go from treating music like your hobby and start treating it like your profession, there is an intrinsic change that, like, in your thought process that comes about. Like, you start thinking of music more from the perspective of who your audience is going to be. And I feel like that in itself is a little bit of an important change because it allows you to kind of balance yourself with experimentation and what you know works. So I think that is a huge change that comes about in your thought process. I remember when I was 16, I really didn't care what I was playing on the guitar. It was just about me, and switched to now that like I really want to develop an audience, and now that I have a little bit of it, I would like to keep them engaged, and that's always going to be at the back of my head when I'm producing my music. So I feel like that is a huge change. Apart from that, not really. There are still types of music that I enjoy, types of music that I don't enjoy, and I continue to strive and get better at the kinds of music I do enjoy. So, yeah. How would you describe your music and sound? One word I'd like to say versatile. So, my entire principle as a musician has been um, to kind of engage myself in as many different styles of music as I can possibly be into. My album is a good example of that because I tried experimenting in a different way and I created an album that has 8 songs in 8 different genres. And the idea of that was to kind of showcase that a musician is not bound by a certain style, or that it's not right to kind of look at a person and say, oh, this guy's a pop musician, because there are so many sides to us. And I wanted to show that through my own album, and I want to show that through my music going forward as well. So there's no particular style, but I'd like to say that I'm a jack of all trades when it comes to music. How do you find inspiration, and what is your approach to writing songs? Um, a large part of my music has come out of watching movies or reading books, if I'm being honest. For example, this song that I wrote, it's called Umeed, and it's entirely based upon the story that I was introduced to by the Kite Runner. Another example would be, I think, the song Casanova that was inspired by this particular movie where this very suave uh, criminal is kind of walking into a bar and he's flirting with a lot of people. And that scene just really stuck in my head because of the way that it's been shot. So I feel like when I start writing music, it has a direct relation to some other art form that I've actually gained a story from. Let's just put it that way. And I feel like that's the starting point in my process as a songwriter. I always like to relate my music to maybe a book that I've read or a movie that I watched or a show that I might be watching. So I feel like, yeah, that's always a starting point. Do you prefer playing solo sets or do you like working in a band setting? So I compose my album solo, but I would never want to perform it solo. So I guess when I'm composing, I like having my own space. I like that area where I'm making mistakes and there's nobody like making me too conscious about it. And I experiment and I experiment and I get to something. But when I'm live, I enjoy playing with the band because I feel like it's so much more lively and there's so much more going on stage, and each performance becomes different as we interact with each other on stage. So yeah, what is the favorite performance that you've done? I think that would have to be Unwind Center in Chennai. It was the first time I was performing an entirely original set, and it was very, very well received. So it was a novel experience for me, for the audience, and I think it just went off really well. Okay, fun related questions. What is the most useless skill you have? Um, okay, comedy is definitely not a skill I have. Um, all my skills are useful. Why are non-music influences? Okay, plenty of them. I think if I am picking them out, I would like to go with. If I'm picking out one influence, actually, I'd like to go with Khalid Hosseini. I think he writes the way I would like my music to be composed. It's very, very deep. There are several layers to his writings, and you can continue to interpret his work in your own way, but there is also a definition to it. So it's like it's almost like you have one clear story, but then so much around it that you can interpret as well. So I think that's really a direction I would like my music to take as well. 5 songs you can't stop listening to at the moment. Okay, Herjenga by Jacob Collier, Bent Nails by Snarky Puppy, Different Kind of Human by Aurora, A Different Kind of Human by Aurora, and Because I'm Just That Kind of Person, I think Fired by this awesome person called Nalin Vinayak that you should really check out. Who was the first, the last, and your favorite person you've ever seen in a concert? Okay, first person I've seen in a concert was the band Megadeth back in 2013. Last person I've seen was Pliny in I think 2019. And my favorite performance on stage would be Steven Wilson. He came to India in 2016, and that was also my first solo trip. So I think there's just a lot of memories attached there, and it was an excellent show. Excellent show. Who would you like to see in concert next? Interesting. Hmm. I think Aurora because I'm a little obsessed with her songs right now. So I really like to see how she does it live. If you could open for anyone, who would you choose? Clinton Seraggio. I think he does music in a lot of genres. I do music in a lot of genres. We can make that a theme and make it an evening. I think it would be really cool. What's next? What are you doing now? What's next for you as an artist? I slept for 12 hours today and I plan to continue that for a while. Because, I mean, I'm tired. So yeah, I'm taking a little break. But yeah, I think what's next is, like I said before, I would like to do a couple of films, do a couple of plays, basically explore music as an art form in other forms of art, if that makes sense. And while I'm doing that, I like to find a newer sound, just keep listening to new music, and probably get done with a new album by the end of 2021. So yeah. Where do we find your music? Everywhere. Whatever streaming platform you use, you can just type my name and you can type fire ahead of it, and you will find 8 songs, and hopefully many, many, many more to come. So yeah, but seriously, every platform. Yeah. Thank you.